Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this live episode of Blank the Mic. And if you're American, then happy Thanksgiving. And if you're Canadian, well, happy Wednesday night and soon to be Thursday morning. But welcome to this late night live episode of Langer at the Mic, where we will be previewing Cowboys versus Washington football team on Turkey Day tomorrow. And of course, we're live here on YouTube and on Twitter. And while I could talk about how weird it sounds to say, Cowboys versus Washington football team as opposed to their original name, since the Cowboys have played Washington 9 times on Thanksgiving, including most recently when the Cowboys beat Washington 31-23 in 2018. I can't mention any of that because rest in peace, Markus Paul. The Cowboys have lost. The Cowboys' strength and conditioning coach, Markus Paul, passed away at the age of 54. And I only found out about this while I was driving up to a meeting. And honestly, just my thoughts and prayers go out to his family. And I find it's just even scarier that he was a former player and a strength and conditioning coach. Especially me as a personal trainer, it's like, if you're a former player and not even an offensive lineman, he was a safety. He was a defensive back, and to have his height and weight here, presumably, you'd think at the age of 54 as a former player and a strength coach, you'd be healthy. But the fact that he passed away at the age of 54 is just that much scarier and that much more devastating, honestly. And just again, our thoughts, our prayers, our best wishes go to him and his family on this American Thanksgiving. So honestly, just screw tanking for this game. This will be a hashtag win for Marcus game for the Dallas Cowboys. And here's why the Cowboys will do it. Because as a team, they rallied when Dak Prescott broke his leg. Everyone rallied behind him, and even though they're playing the Giants, sure, they did what they had to do, and they made enough plays down the stretch to win the game. And I strongly believe that this team, especially with the way they're playing right now, they actually have fight. With that we've seen in the last, in the Eagles game, the Pittsburgh game, and the Vikings game, they're playing with fight and relentless intensity on defense, and they're actually moving the ball well on offense. So they're going to continue that in this game against Washington, and they will rally. They'll take it to another level and rally behind the death of Markus Paul. So let's start on offense now. The Cowboys scored 31 points against the Minnesota Vikings. Now, here's the thing. I actually forgot to look this up. The last time that the Cowboys scored 31 points without a quarterback named Dak Prescott or Tony Romo starting, I'm sure you got to go back before 2006. I'll try to include that in the description after. I'm going to research that because I'm curious, but I will be sure to include that in the description below. But yeah, it's been if you talk about that, that's at least 15 years that the Dallas Cowboys have yet to score 30 points or more without a quarterback named Tony Romo or Dak Prescott under center. But my point is that Andy Dalton has showed that he can properly manage this offense and lead it to victory, or at least lead it to being productive enough to win games. But a huge X factor of that is the performance of the offensive line. Because again, this is a team, the Cowboys are playing against a front that includes Montez Sweat, Daron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Chase Young, and Ryan Kerrigan. So then the last time the Cowboys played Washington in week 7, they lost 25-3. They gave up 6 sacks and they gave up 12 pressures. But they were also without Zach Martin in that game due to a concussion that he sustained in that Arizona loss. Well, since Zach Martin has returned to the lineup, the Cowboys have only given up 2.3 sacks per game. And with Martin at right tackle, they just gave up only 1 sack against the Minnesota Vikings. So again, Terrence Steele has just been, look, you can't really blame him. He's an undrafted free agent rookie at right tackle. And, our shout out to Mike Hernishin, who's been on the show here twice, and he's a scout. And he basically mentioned how Terrence Steele got wrecked at the Pro Bowl, and the Cowboys signed him as an undrafted free agent and expected him to fill the shoes of La'el Collins. So look, you can't really blame Terrence Steele because look, he's only as good as he is, but you can blame the Cowboys coaching staff for putting him in there at right tackle. But hey, you got to also give the coaching staff credit for finally making the right decision and putting Zach Martin from right guard to right tackle and putting Connor McGovern in at right guard. So again, kudos to the coaches for finally making that call. And again, they only gave up 1 sack against the Vikings. And even though the Vikings aren't a vaunted, like a high-end front seven, it's still the Cowboys did only give up 2 sacks against the Steelers with Martin at right guard and Steele at right tackle. So again, they've been playing much better on the offensive line, and that will be crucial for not only Andy Dalton, but also to improve or to open up running lanes for the run game, of course, for Zeke and Tony Pollard. And also maybe an offensive lineman or two can lay a blindside block on Jon Bostic just to respond. I mean, if there's a chance to respond to what Jon Bostic did to Andy Dalton, if the game is out of hand, like in the third or fourth quarter somehow, then look, someone's got to make Jon Bostic pay. And I'm not one to encourage violence, but something's got to be done because the Cowboys didn't answer the bell in week 7. So now is the time to answer the bell if there's a chance to do so. But obviously the focus is winning the game first. So now going back to the Cowboys offensive line, opening up running lanes for Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. I should say Tony Pollard first because he is right now playing better than Ezekiel Elliott, pretty much objectively, because he averaged, I think it was 15 or 17 yards a carry. I mean, he only had 4 rushes, and he had that 42-yard pop that went for a score in that Minnesota Vikings game. But Ezekiel Elliott, look, he's just consistently 4 yards, 1 yard, 0 yards, 3 yards, 8 yards. Okay, maybe 15 yards. But Zeke he's not he's patient in terms of letting blocks develop in front of him and then going for the hole when it's wide open, just like in that long, I think it was the 15-yard run or the 18-yard run against Minnesota. But he can't make people miss, and he just can't break tackles like he used to. When was the last time you saw Ezekiel Elliott stiff arm someone to the ground? Maybe, granted, it might have been the Rams game in week 1, but I don't recall seeing it since. So Tony Pollard is just playing with so much more juice right now. He's just so much more elusive, so much more explosive at hitting the hole. But yeah, I would say the coaches will not do this because Ezekiel Elliott is the guy in a $90 million contract, but ideally there should be at most a 60-40 split in favor of Ezekiel Elliott in terms of touches, but ideally a 50-50 split between the two, kind of like Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram back with the Saints. I think it was 2018 or 2017. But yeah, there should be ideally a 50-50 split in carries between Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. Now, again, with decent O-line play, if the offensive line does a decent job protecting Andy Dalton and does a decent job opening up holes for the run game, well, then that obviously allows Andy Dalton to be good or okay at least, and that allows the running game to be good, of course, but it also allows Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Gallup to do what they do best, and for CeeDee Lamb to make ridiculous circus catches like he did in that Minnesota game. Even with Ronald Darby and Kendall Fuller and Fabian Moreau being decent corners, they're a decent secondary that they have in Washington, and of course Landon Collins. They still have Landon Collins at safety, right? Or no, they actually don't. He's on IR. Never mind. But still, they're a good defense. It's a Ron Rivera coach team, of course, so they are a decent defense. But again, it starts and finishes with the O-line. If the offensive line, if Zach Martin at right tackle can solidify that right side, Cam Irving's been decent. Joe Looney has been okay in last game. Connor Williams has been quietly good too recently. So if the Cowboys offensive line can protect Dalton, look out. They'll be able to take advantage of the Washington defense, even though, again, strong front seven and decent secondary. Now, on defense, however, so the Cowboys are much better on defense, or much better equipped to handle the running game now on defense without Dontari Poe, Everson Griffin, and Darrell Worley. Dontari Poe and Everson Griffin because Dontari Poe would get washed on pretty much every single run up the middle, and Darrell Worley because if they decide to go play action, Darrell Worley is not on the field to blow an assignment and give up a deep pass. I mean, sure, there was the deep pass to Jefferson in the Minnesota game there. I think another one to Thielen as well, but definitely the deep touchdown to Jefferson. But I feel like if you could hold Dalvin Cook to under 120 yards, then you can probably be okay at slowing down Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissick, and Peyton Barber. compared to, or at least much better than they were last time, where they gave up like 200 plus yards on the ground. So yeah, but the defense, again, even though they did give up the plays to Dalvin Cook, and even if they do give up plays to in the running game, I'm still confident that they will play with fire. They'll play with intensity and passion. They'll play hard, and they will make the plays that they need to and be good enough to win. Donovan Wilson might not force 2 turnovers in this game because, look, that's not sustainable. And he played at a hell of a game against Minnesota, and he could still play well again, but it might not result in 2 turnovers again. But again, the defense as a whole will fight, they'll battle, and they'll make plays. I believe they'll make plays even though they'll give up plays. And I also feel like the players are also getting more comfortable with time with Mike Nolan's scheme as well, because keep in mind, short off season, you're going from a simple, cover 3, 4-3 scheme with Rod Marinelli, very vanilla, but very simple and sound, but again, very vanilla, to a slightly more complex, complicated scheme with Mike Nolan. So maybe now with time, the players, I wouldn't be surprised if they're getting more comfortable with Mike Nolan's scheme. But yeah, just Randy Gregory. Randy Gregory didn't play a lot of snaps because I think he missed a lot of practice time going to the Minnesota game with an illness. But in the snaps that he did play, he generated pressure. DeMarcus Lawrence generated pressure, and he'll continue to be a force in the run game. They'll keep balling. Antoine Woods, starting at nose tackle, has been pretty solid. Leighton Vander Esch is good for a big stop or two, but the only issues are, as usual, Jalen Smith and the secondary. And Alex Smith, again, God bless him. It feels weird to say that about a Washington quarterback, but I don't care, because Alex Smith, what he dealt with in that to overcome that injury and now be the starting quarterback for Washington. He led that near comeback against Detroit with 390 yards passing, and he managed the game well enough to beat Cincinnati at home, although they did lose Joe Burrow to that devastating injury. Alex Smith managed the game well enough to win for Washington. Just going back live here on Twitter. I think it craps out after every 10 minutes, but anyway, yeah, we're back here live on Twitter now. So even though Alex Smith only has 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions on the season, he is averaging over 7 yards per passing attempt, which is above average. But again, that just shows that Washington, at least in the passing game, has been moving the ball decently well with Alex Smith. It's just a matter of getting touchdowns now. Terry McLaurin is also questionable for Washington. I think he'll likely play, and if he does, he'll be a problem for the secondary, of course, and that will be a big target for Alex Smith. But Anthony Brown is also questionable. If he can't go, is it going to be Reggie Robinson or Rashad Robinson that's going to take his spot? Or yeah, that'll be interesting to see. So that will present a weak link for Washington to exploit in the Dallas Cowboys already weak secondary. But like I said, even despite that, I truly believe that as a team, they'll rally behind Markus Paul and give me Dallas Cowboys 24-20. It'll be a close one. Maybe Washington will get a late score, and maybe you could say 27-21. Yeah, maybe you say 27-21 or 24-20 and something in that range. But yeah, just the defense, the Cowboys offense will be, the offensive line will be much better than it was last time. So that means, like I said, Dalton will be better, and the running game will be better, and the receivers will be better. And on defense, again, they'll give up plays, but I strongly believe that they'll make plays, and they will rally behind Markus Paul and win this game against Washington. But if they lose, it's back into Team Tank, man. It's back into Team Tank. But I still believe, if you look at the Cowboys' schedule, if they can win this game, go up to 4-7, they can finish the rest of the season 4-2. Because, okay, at Baltimore, but Baltimore is vulnerable right now. Baltimore lost to they lost to Pittsburgh, they lost to New England, they lost to Tennessee, and now they're going to play Pittsburgh again, and they might get smashed in the mouth by Pittsburgh again. So they're going to be vulnerable. And they because that game got postponed to Sunday, now they're going to have a short week when the Cowboys won't have a short week. So I'm not saying the Cowboys are guaranteed. I'm not saying I'd pick the Cowboys to win against Baltimore in Baltimore, but I'm not afraid of Baltimore right now. I'm not. And okay, sure, Lamar Jackson could change my mind next week if he rushes for 100 yards and passes for 400 and whatever. Sure, of course, and the Ravens win 42-20. But the Ravens right now, they don't scare me. So, but still, even then, even if the Cowboys lose to Baltimore, Cincinnati, a banged up possible Jimmy Garoppolo-less 49ers team, a terrible Carson Wentz led Eagles team at home, and the New York Giants. So I see the Cowboys, they could finish 4-2, and that would put their record to, if they win this game, 4-7. So they could finish 8-8 and win the division at 8-8. It's very possible. But again, this is a game where you're either against Washington here, where you're gonna rise to that occasion and put yourself really in the driver's seat to win the division, or fall down that cliff and go back into team tank mode, or at least I'd cheer for team tank mode at that point. But yeah, once again, look, rest in peace, Markus Paul. Prayers go out to you, to their family, and just Cowboys Nation. Cowboys, the Cowboys are going to rally behind you tomorrow, and they'll play hard for Markus Paul tomorrow. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this. If you've been watching tonight, thank you so much for tuning in this late on the night before game day. But as usual, give a big thumbs up on this video, subscribe to my channel, give me a follow on Twitter and Instagram. I also have to remember to put that bit about Tony Romo, or the last time the Cowboys had a quarterback not named Dak Prescott or Tony Romo start under center and score more than 30 points. So I'll include that in the description below as well. But this has been a Cowboys versus Washington football team Thanksgiving preview. Thank you so much for watching, and see you again next time.